Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to LifeSource Coaches. I'm Dave.
And I'm Sue.
We are life, relationship, and leadership coaches, and we are so glad that you've joined us today. We want to give you a thumbs up as you guys and affirm you for joining us to grow your ability to deal with fear and anxiety in your life and in your family and in your business. So, welcome. We want to encourage you to leave some comments. If you want to just start out and say, okay, today my level of anxiety is on a scale of 1 to 10. Put that in the comment section. We want to encourage you to also give us a thumbs up when during our learning time here together. Share when you get that aha moment. Say, oh, I didn't know that, or that's helpful. Give us a little thumbs up or a heart or a wow to participate and engage with us. And yesterday we talked about tip number 1 was centering and awareness. And so just take a deep breath this morning as we get started. Inhale peace and push the pause button on all the things going on in your mind and your heart and your body, your spirit. And then today we're going to focus on tip number 2. Tip number 2 for overcoming fear and anxiety is to press in to the emotions. Mm-hmm. To press into the emotions. And that's kind of counterintuitive.
Right. As opposed to giving into the emotion or numbing the emotion or denying the emotion. Really, it's most powerful to discern the emotion, press into it, hold it. Oftentimes, even if it's fear, we'll give an example. So many people's income are affected by COVID and all that's going on with it. So kind of this underlying anxiety might be a sense of like, I'm not going to be okay. We're not going to be okay. So then again, rather than numbing that out or pushing it down or distracting yourself, which is a lot of the things we do. And sometimes we even go, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. But it's still there. It still sticks with us. So what we're teaching you today or trying to talk with you about today is, as Dave mentioned, counterintuitive. It's a little bit like putting your hand on a stove and saying, it's okay to feel what I feel right now.
And we're going to give you 3 steps to pressing into the emotion. We're going to talk about discerning the emotion. We're going to talk about this diffusing reactions, and we're going to say, how do I decide to respond well? So those are kind of the 3 steps that we're going to press into today for pressing into emotions. And we want to just start out letting you know that emotions are not right or wrong.
Right.
When we first got married, I used to say, Sue, don't feel that way.
You shouldn't feel that way. It's like, you can't say that. He goes, yes, I can. But no, really, emotions are just what they are, right? And so tell us a little bit about the definitions of emotions.
Yeah, emotions are helpful. How many of you guys have seen the Disney movie Inside Out? We kind of label emotions as positive or negatives, and we learned in that movie that emotions are all essential. They're all important. Yeah. Whether they feel positive or they feel negative doesn't make them any less essential and vital to our lives. And emotion is our reaction and our body's chemical reaction to circumstances going on around us. And so I like to define emotion as emotion, to divide the word up. E for energy, that activates us to take action, gives us energy to go into motion, to accomplish the responsibilities and engage in the relationships. We need to do that well and in a healthy fashion. So emotions are not right or wrong.
Not good or bad, right? So discern, identify your emotions. I really like to kind of try to push in, as I mentioned initially, as we identify what those emotions are and hold it. We put in our comment section or on the...
Yeah, we posted Sputnik's emotional chart. That's easy for me to say, huh? So you can see that, and it just lists out about 60 emotions. And so just to start this morning, just take a moment. Take a deep breath again, and just try to discern, what am I feeling?
Right.
And I realize that emotions oftentimes, especially when it comes to fear and anxiety, there's just not one emotion going on. There's probably a whole cluster of emotions going on to that. So just take a moment. We're just going to pause here and be silent. And listen to your heart, what's going on in your heart, and what emotions are you feeling right now? So part of discernment is identifying and accepting, that's what I'm feeling. It's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. It may feel positive or negative, but it's important, and we need to discern that. That's this first step to pressing it.
Oftentimes my clients will say, I don't know what I'm feeling. And the question I ask is, what maybe are you feeling? Oftentimes emotions are a little bit like outfits we try on, and we may say it fits here, but it doesn't fit here. And so sadness, well, it's not exactly sadness. It feels more like loss. Or so as we identify, as we hold those emotions just for a minute, it can be a little bit scary, but talking yourself through, it's okay to connect. Oftentimes say when we are able to connect with the emotion, we get heart truth. If we just identify in our head what we're feeling, we get head truth. And that doesn't really bring freedom.
Yeah, and there's a strong correlation between our mindset and our emotions.
Yeah.
And how we are to respond to them. And there's kind of two aspects of responding. When we deal with emotion, when we deal with trauma, and we're kind of in a trauma season right now with COVID, we can either react based upon our emotions, or we can respond. And so we need to go from not only discerning what am I feeling, but how do I diffuse the reaction so that I can respond well. And so Sue's going to talk a little bit about this whole aspect of saying, how do I diffuse this reaction? Because when our emotions get heightened quickly under a high stress situation, our amygdala kicks in as the front part of our brain, and that amygdala triggers fight or flight, which is reaction. So it's based upon, boy, do I want to avoid this? Do I press in and challenge this? And that reaction oftentimes doesn't serve us well. So we want to diffuse that a little bit.
Right. So how I walk through this with people is as we identify, like, what am I feeling? What's going on here? And I'm feeling anxious. Oftentimes that's connected to a belief, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow, mindsets and beliefs, but they're very intercorrelated. And so it might be something, well, I'm believing that, I'm feeling we're not going to be okay. So the question I ask at that point is, if that were true, if that's true, what then? Well, we're not going to be okay. I won't get paid. We'll lose our house. Kind of we go to the house, we lose the house. We're going to be on the streets. It can take us to a worst case scenario pretty quickly. And people don't like to go there. But the truth is, in our anxiety levels, we're kind of already there, really. We carry around this low level or oftentimes a high level of anxiety or fear. And so if you push into that just for a minute and say, well, if that's true, what then? If that's true, what then? And then you hold that feeling or that belief right there for a moment. And then at that point in time, the way I diffuse them is I invite truth into that emotion. Staying connected to the emotion, but inviting truth into it. This is a little bit difficult. It's using the left side of your brain and the right side of your brain. So you're staying connected to the emotion, but you're kind of trying to walk yourself through this mindset and this inviting peace, inviting truth, inviting Jesus. Dave and I are Christ followers. It's all for us. We invite a person into that story. And so as we invite truth into that place of deep anxiety or fear, or oftentimes it's really irrational, and we know that, but when we try to talk ourselves out of it, it doesn't work. So when we press in, hold that emotion, but invite Jesus to hang out with us or invite truth into that place, it oftentimes brings peace.
Yeah, it diffuses the energy of that initial emotion, so that our reaction is kind of postponed until we're able to come to a place where we can respond, where we understand truth versus reacting out of an assumption or a past trauma.
Right.
And so that moves us from discernment through diffusion so that we can respond well with a decision and decide. That's our third D. And we want to decide out of peace. We want to decide out of wisdom. And tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, and there's a lot of ways that we can do this. I really encourage people take a little bit of a time out, because this process involves us walking through some steps. So if you just need to go into the other room, if you need to walk into the bathroom and just take a deep breath, kind of, what am I feeling? Jesus, what do you want me to know in this place? What's the truth? And then, what do you want me to do? Decide how can I move forward from here in a place of peace with wisdom? And so that's the decide. Not reacting, but walking in truth and peace.
And part of the decision and process is the distinction between an emotion and a mood. An emotion is something we have in the moment. It's what's going on, and then that triggers some mindsets and some beliefs that need to be diffused. But then we can choose, what is the emotion that we want to move forward with? What is the energy that we want to take going into this next step, rather than what we've experienced in the moment? And that mood can be made up of several emotions. But when I talk to clients, we asked, are you having an emotion, or does your emotion have you? And because that emotion, while it only occurs in the moment, it can linger on and become a mood. And so there's kind of that question, did you wake up grumpy this morning? And the wife said, no, I let him sleep in. That's an aspect of mood. And so we want to be able to choose our mood, decide upon our mood. And so as we diffuse the reaction, go to a response, we can say, what will be my mood? And so I can now choose to say, man, I had fear and I had grief, but I'm going to choose, as I understand truth, I'm going to discern peace, I'm going to discern hope, I want to discern wisdom, as saying, okay, here's where I am, and here's where I'm going to move towards, here's what I'm going to do next, and that's my decision or my response. And so those are the three steps of pressing in: discerning, diffusing, and deciding.
I really encourage you, as you invite peace or truth or Jesus into the emotion, that as you decide how you're going to move forward, that you don't do it alone, that you say, walk with me, Jesus, walk with me as I choose to move forward in peace, as I choose to walk forward in wisdom, in kindness. So how do I want to do that? And I need your help. Faith.
There's an aspect of spirit here. We'll talk about that on day 4. But a part of the reality of our spiritual selves is in the context of community. The Older Testament talks about wisdom being found in the counsel of many. So this it has that process of decision and faith and spirit in that. So we have some blog resources available for you on our website. I'll be posting a couple of those blogs that specifically talk about emotions and moods. Sue has this whole process of pressing in that she has a blog on that we'll post there for you as well. Or if you want, reach out to us through the website and say, hey, I could use a little bit of coaching through this, because this is as much of a skill that can be developed and learned and practiced as it is just an understanding.
Right. So we'll be in touch over these next few days. We've got today's Wednesday. We've already lost track of days.
Day 2.
Yeah. So we've got we'll be here at 10 o'clock on Thursday and Friday, and then next Tuesday we're going to be doing a 1-hour webinar that you can sign up for. Dave will have the link as well, and it'll give a little bit more meat around some of these things and tools as we move forward.
Yeah, we'll put all 4 of these days together in one spot and help you develop a presence that will help you overcome fear and anxiety during this COVID season. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow right here again at 10 a.m. For tip number 3.
Yeah.
Have a great day, guys.